Welcome everybody. I guess today we can start our meeting. It's 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Where's the gavel?
I don't have one. I'll use my hand. We'll do roll call. Rich Young. Okay.
How are we going to do?
Pardon me? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead. I was anxious.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did you want to do roll call?
Never mind.
You want me to do the roll call?
Please.
Councilmember Pam.
Here.
Rich Young. Dinah Dumfries. Here. Mike Lancioni.
Here.
Michael Martinez.
Here.
Fire Chief Bendix is absent. Police Chief Robert Sokolsky.
Present.
Okay, Park Board President Dolly Millick. Here. Hi. And BCA President Matt Bowen, absent. Building Commissioner Steve Thomas.
Here.
Webmaster Dinah Dumfries. Here. Attorney Gunning, you said it's going to be later, and then I'm here. First thing on the agenda, I think what we want to do is present a plaque to our past council member and president. You've been president for I don't know how many years. Since what, 1990?
Well, I was vice president in the last 4 years.
I know. When did you start with the council?
In 1995.
1995. You never left?
I was sort of not doing to it when I was in New York. I will recall. That was Shepherd's essentially.
You stand up.
Oh,
Read this to you.
this is too much.
As it says, Michiana Shores, established 1947, we hereby present John Victor Scolar for your 3 decades of service and leadership to the people in the town of Michiana Shores. You are being honored with much gratitude and appreciation presented by the town of Michiana Shores.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I want this on the front page of the news.
I don't know, anyone take a picture?
So I can show that to Chancellor. Well, that was certainly
That was well deserving, John. Not many people donate that 3 decades to a town. The next thing on the agenda is the annual election of officers.
Okay. If you want to do the roll call, do we need to do that?
I did the roll.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But we need to do the election before we start the meeting.
Okay.
So I will entertain a motion, not a motion, but a nominee for president. As many as you want.
I'd like to nominate Dinah Dumfries for president. In the election, she did a great job. Had the most votes of any of us running for the at-large seat, so I think she'd be a great representative.
We just need a nomination.
I know, but I wanted to add a little bit.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations?
I'd like to echo that, Dinah Dumfries for president.
No, that's already in. You don't have to second it.
Second.
You don't have to second. Is there anybody else? Anyone want to nominate anybody else? Take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
4 ayes. 5 ayes.
5 ayes.
Nominations for vice president?
I'd like to nominate Michael Martinez.
Any others? Any other nominations? No other nominations? Take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Yep.
Or 4.
Now, there's annual appointments, and these are mainly made by the council. We need for the building commissioner, the road commissioner, town attorney, council liaison for the police protection, roads and park department, and NERC representative in the LaPorte County Drainage Board, and the community crossing grant administrator. All these are annual appointments.
Joan, can you read off just quickly the names of all the individuals in those roles, please?
The building commissioner is Steve Thomas. You want to start with that?
Yep, just go in the order they're on there, that's fine.
Okay.
Oh, so we'll do one, each one?
We'll do one at a time.
I have a question to ask here. Do these appointments have to be made tonight, or can these be made even next month since they were just starting? And our new council has 3 new members.
Right.
Is there anything to stop us from making these announcements and decisions at the February meeting?
Normally they're made at this meeting, which means,
I would think we could just do a continuance for 1 month and then revisit it at next month's meeting. So I don't think that would be an issue.
are you making a motion to continue the present people in these?
I'm making a motion to continue until the February meeting where we can...
Are you talking about all of them?
All of them, yes.
Okay, so you're making a motion.
Any discussion?
Yeah, you have to do a second and vote.
I know, but I'm back to see if there's any discussion.
Then maybe I should come up with it.
Yeah.
I need a second. I think you're gonna do
I'm going to come over in the middle. I'm going to come over here, okay?
Sure.
Michael, you second?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I need a show of hands or a voice vote, whether you agree or not with this motion.
All here.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, Rich? How do you feel? Yes? Okay, aye, 5 ayes.
Okay.
on the plan commission vacancy and reappointment. And also, they need a secretary. Does anybody come up with any ideas for the secretary or any people interested?
Who are all the members that are currently on the plan commission as it states? I know there were some resignations and some step downs. Who has a continuing role on the commission?
I can answer to that one. We have Matt Bowen remains on the plan commission, and we have Howard Jablon, who also remains on the plan commission. And
those are all staggered terms.
They're staggered terms as well. One has 1 year, the other has 2 years to go.
Okay.
Right now, I don't have that sheet with me that has the exact date for them, but that's how those are running right now. So now we will also be making appointments, and I just don't remember whether it's the town president or the council itself that makes an appointment for the 3 positions that council members must serve on the plan commission.
Usually they volunteer.
Okay, volunteers? Okay, that sounds great, much better.
Usually volunteer. You can
Okay.
do it any way you want.
Okay, so we will need to fill 3 council member positions on the plan commission. And Rich has been on in the past, and he's done a great job as the president of the plan commission. So I would hope that maybe Rich would stay on the plan commission, and then, which would mean we would need 2 others. But Rich needs to let us know.
I've been on it about 12 years. I don't want to continue.
You do not? Okay, well then that would leave us with 3 open positions for the plan commission. So do I have 3 volunteers from the...
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Okay, Mike Lencioni.
I'll try.
Pam, okay, very good. Pam Doobie, and I need a third. Michael Martinez, okay, excellent. So we have 3 new members for the Plan Commission. And I know that of the members that had, whose terms had finished, Ray Dumbers is one who had finished. And Ray, I believe, said he was, are you still willing to remain on the, if wanted?
Yeah,
And
how many open positions are there?
There are then 2 more open positions.
2 more after?
No,
with Ray?
only 2. There's 2 positions open.
Okay.
And then there is, because Dorothy decided that she'd been on for 11 years and that it was time for her to pass the baton to somebody else. She was awesome as an ordinance, you know, her knowledge of the ordinances was awesome. And we're sorry that she's gone, but she said that 11 years was enough. So we will have a position then for sure to fill, you know, outside of just the one for Ray. Depends on how many volunteers we get now for this. I know in the past that I think Ralph had mentioned an interest perhaps in being on this. Okay, and your name is listed on here. And I don't know if anybody else is present here who might be interested in joining the Plan Commission.
As a citizen member.
As a citizen member. Thank you.
I think Ralph would be a great addition.
You better take him up on it.
Okay. All right,
As
so
long as you don't have everyone clamoring for it.
Right. Well,
so
the pay is so good, right?
yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so Ray Durbers, you agree
Yes.
to remain, and Ralph Box, you agree to join
Yes.
the Plan Commission? Thank you very much.
So who's the 7th member?
We have Howard Jablon, Matt Bowen.
You're going to keep both of those.
Yes, they're both staying. They both, one has 1 year, one has 2 years. Okay.
So Ralph is going on for 4 years.
And then I don't know whether Ray goes on for 4 or for 3.
Once
To stagger.
you have staggered terms, they all are appointed for 4 years after that.
Okay.
So anyone who is on a 4-year term, and I have the past since nobody's kept it up to date, so I'm going to work from the past on up to make
Okay.
sure we stay that way. Because this was
Okay.
rectified back in 2004 and 5.
Okay. Dorothy Nolan did have a paper that she gave me with regards to that, but I did not bring that with me for the terms.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think on the BZA, I don't know if any of those appointments are up or not.
Ray, do you know, or you're shaking your head you don't know?
I don't think they're up.
Okay.
You're right about Ray and Howard. Howard has 1 year and 2 years.
And Matt has. Yeah, it should be Matt, not Ray. Ray, because Ray's term ended.
So who are the 5 members on the BZA then?
Well, it's 7 members altogether, so it
I
would be.
don't know about Ray because what I have is his term ended in 2016, which would, yes, it will make him reappointed.
Yeah.
So he's reappointed.
Okay. So we have the 3 council members, okay, Mike Lancioni, Pam Doobie, and Michael Martinez, and then we have Howard Jablon, who's not here tonight, he's a member, Matt Bowen, who's not here tonight, but he's a member of the Plan Commission, as well as Ralph Box and Ray Dumbers.
Right. Okay, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead to the BZA.
Okay. All right, so BZA is, Ray, can you give us all the members of the BZA?
I've got it right
Oh, you
here.
do have them?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Matt Bowen, Ray Dumbers, Mario Joby, Robert Hall, and Gene Paxson.
When are their terms up?
Do you have a list, Ray, of when the terms are up?
Not with me.
Well, that can be done next month, because they
Yeah.
don't have a meeting until the end of
Okay,
next
then
month.
table
anyway.
it.
So that could be tabled, so.
We should double back on the secretary for the Plan Commission.
Sure.
Volunteer there.
Yeah. Okay, so now, let's do this. Let's table the appointments for the BZA until we have some information that tells us how many we will need to reappoint and how many are interested in staying on the BZA, and we could handle that next month. And then let's go back now to the Plan Commission, because we do not have a secretary, so we can see if perhaps someone here is interested in being the Plan Commission secretary. Any takers?
It's a paying job.
Just about as good as a clerk treasurer
Yeah.
for the amount of work that you do.
So it's 1 month, 1 meeting per month, and then taking the minutes, writing up the notes after this is finished, creating any kind of documents that might need to be done, and then a few other extra things that might get thrown your way as you are acting as the secretary. And if there are no volunteers here today, perhaps you know someone who is at home and who might be interested in doing something like this. It's nice to have someone from the community, but I mean, we would take somebody maybe even outside of the community if they're interested in coming in to do some secretarial work. One night, the first Tuesday of every month, unless there's a special meeting changed, as we changed it for the January meeting, or as the previous council changed it. It's taking place on next week, the 21st. All right, no volunteers so far. So we'll be looking. And by the way, someone in the Plan Commission could actually take notes that night. That's okay too, because that's what used to take place way back in the old days when they started. So, okay. Next, Park Board reappointments.
We need to reappoint your position.
Pardon?
We need to have someone replace you.
Yes, there will somebody will need to be added. I spoke with Jean had expressed last fall that she said there were several people who might be interested, but she didn't have an answer for me today. So I think that these reappointments can also probably take place next month because we have time.
John wants to be.
Excellent, that sounds good. Okay, but there may be others as well that we may want to consider too. So,
We have to be. I know I would have to be reappointed.
Yes, because your term was, we came up with those papers, yours would be done that way. So the way I understand it is that we appoint 4 members. Is that all? That's all I could find out in the state's rules. That's all we do is 4. And then there could be other members that are just members of the board, but they're not voting members?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, if we have these 2 people who are willing to come in, I don't know, what do you think?
Are you going to?
Joan is still on. Brenda, are you staying on?
She wants to stay on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Brenda still has a longer term,
Yeah, she
as
has a term.
does Jean. Yeah.
She wants to.
Yeah. She still has a term. She doesn't want to leave.
Is there anybody else that's here today? Park Board, got exciting, work on the parks, trails, trees, all kinds
We
of
came
fun
up with
stuff.
a list of dates at one of our meetings. We looked at the terms when people were
Dolly, when are the
appointed.
meetings for the
We
Park
looked at the
Board?
dates of when people were appointed.
Meetings, for the winter, because there's no sense in doing anything in the winter and then start back in March. On Tuesday.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, but
I
I
don't
think
know.
we have 4, don't we? Didn't we just say?
If you,
We have 4.
You have 4 members on there.
yes, so then it's done.
If she doesn't want to, if she's being on others.
No, Jean did not say she does not want to. Jean said she wants to be on the Park Board.
Okay, so
And I
we
just-
don't have any openings then.
Then if it's only 4, and if Jean has volunteered to be on the Park Board, then we're complete on the Park Board then. So,
Well,
do you
but-
agree?
But there might be others that are interested. I think Jen.
Oh, is there anybody else here who's
Jen might be
interested in it?
interested.
Ah, okay, well then how do we determine this then? Okay, I'm so sorry that I moved on with that, okay? Could we hear, I'm not sure, I don't know your,
My name is Jennifer Johnson. I moved in a year ago to 420 Oakland. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet everybody. I had the chance to meet everybody on the internet. And so now it's a pleasure to see you besides the pancake breakfast.
okay,
So, yeah.
all right. And then, so do we have anybody else here tonight that wants to be on? Well, I'm going to, bow now to those who have done this before. When we have more than the number of spaces, okay, how are we going to handle the appointments for this then?
I would suggest the one that isn't, if you wanted to keep John on because he's got experience in it. And Jennifer, if she wishes, can come to the meetings and still put her 2 cents in.
How do you feel about that, Jenna? Instead of having a voting board, would you be willing to be a member
No problem.
With no voting, right?
Yeah,
That's okay?
no problem.
Then that would be absolutely awesome, and please ask more friends to come.
I will.
Okay.
Take as many volunteers
As many as we can, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, that's a good suggestion. Yes, did you have a question, Ray?
No, I just had a comment, but I think you mentioned that there was a Park Booster Club.
Yes. That will need, yeah, that has unlimited members, and we will, but that's a Park Booster Club, and I'm not sure, there's no appointments that we make to the Park Booster Club, but we invite
No,
people to join.
That is not part of the challenge.
That's right.
That's separate. If you want
Yeah.
to join it, you contact Dolly.
We do a lot.
Yeah, that's totally
Yeah.
different. But anybody that wants to come to a council meeting, to a plan commission meeting, BZA, park board, whatever, you're welcome to come and put in your 2 cents. If you can't come, there's always an email or telephone.
Joan,
Okay.
I don't have an agenda.
Well, who took your agenda then?
Yeah.
I have one agenda and one set of minutes.
That's okay, I got extras. I planned on
What is
coaching.
that?
Yeah,
Is that an agenda or minutes?
Oh, this is last month's,
Okay, so that's minutes.
yeah.
you're welcome.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt the flow of appointments here for just a moment. We passed around a sign-in sheet, so we're asking everybody who's present today, great, to sign in, put a contact number or address or something, email, whatever you've got, on that sheet, because that will also help out if you are going to be making comments during, public comments and things like this, so thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to the next. So let's finish up with the park board appointments then. Then we officially are appointing, we're saying that Dolly Millick would like to stay on, again, correct? John Pollard wants to come on into the empty spot. I know that Jean Paxton would like to stay on, and Brenda Heckman is staying on. So we have a complete board of 4, and we invite everybody to come to the park board meetings once they start. Those are on the 4th Monday of every month, starting from March through October. And of course, they're announced on the website, they're up on the board, and we'll let you know through next door as well.
And they're on your agenda tonight.
Okay, so now the ratification of annual election designation of Board of Finance Officers.
Finance officers are generally you want to explain it, Mr. Gunner? You do better than I.
Yes, the Board of Finance and the Town Council coexistent to each other. Traditionally, most municipal entities in Indiana will not hold separate meetings and go through separate formalities for the 2 entities, and that's a recognized practice by the State Board of Accounts. So typically, for purposes of execution of documents, we may even have a standing resolution that indicates the chairman of the town council, or the president of the town council, shall also serve as the chairman of the Board of Finance. Similarly, the record-keeping function is then performed by the chief financial officer of the town, which is the clerk treasurer. So the ratification or certification or confirmation of that is what's being sought here.
Okay.
Okay, do you need a motion?
So what do we need to do?
Yes,
All right.
motion be required to.
I'll make a motion to appoint Dinah for the Board of Finance along with Joan, pursuant to President and Secretary roles respectively.
Second?
Aye.
Michael Martinez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so our next step is moving down to the meeting minutes for the December 10th meeting and the December 27th meeting. Year-end, so we'll do them, are these both put together or are they
No,
separate?
December 10th is the one that you received tonight.
Okay,
The December 27th is in progress,
okay.
so we don't have that one tonight, you'll have it in
Okay.
February.
Yeah, you can go ahead and approve the 10th, please.
Okay, now, have you had a chance to take a look at the minutes? To look,
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
anybody else? Any additions or corrections to the minutes?
No.
Rich, anything from you? No? Pam? Okay, no. All right.
Who's second?
So who's seconding? You will, Michael? Okay, so. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye. All right, next step, our next, let's see, point of business is going to be the clerk treasurer's report for the January 2019 claims.
Okay, there's 5 copies, take one and pass them. The last council chose to have them read. It's your choice whether you want to read them or just list them as the total amount that's been spent.
I'd like to move, we just list the totals and process that. They're posted for everybody to look at. Everybody wants to look at what the specific values are. It's easy to know, as opposed to reading 12 different line items.
I'm sorry?
There's some that are basically the same every month, like
Right.
the Michiana Shores Volunteer Fire Department, Town of Long Beach, Republic Services, Access, LaPorte County.
Only the 10th.
So those all are the same every month.
So it's your call, Dinah. Just
You have January 2019.
Oh, don't you like that?
Oh, the dates, thank you.
2020 on here.
That's true, the date is true, but the date is correct up here.
It's
And the date's correct on the minutes and the agenda.
So it should be what?
That's a miracle.
The claims 2020. Okay. Mike moved that we leave only a total sum instead of listing all, every single one of these expenses. What I'm going to do at this point is just ask a general question of those who are present at the meeting as to how much detail you would like to hear with regards to the checks that are written in something like this. This is, you know, to help me out and help everybody else. Ralph?
Well, I don't need to hear the detail, but I'd like to have easy access to the detail. And right now, it's a little complicated to find stuff.
Easy access to what?
To just see the report.
Oh, to see a financial report, the treasurer's report.
Yeah, I don't know how
There's
that works.
no such thing as a treasurer's report.
He's just asking, can we post the payments online? Basically have the accounts payable, put it
Anybody
online.
wants to see them, they can come in the office and see them anytime they want to.
Okay, so
I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
But
John?
if you read it,
I think we should stick with what we have been doing traditionally. So that if there is an expense and somebody questions, that can be brought up in our public meeting.
good point.
Well, that was, but generally the people that are bringing it up are those who are on the board, on the council, correct? It's not the public that's bringing it up. I mean, that's that's a good point. Yes, Ray?
I agree with
John?
John. I was going to say Laura. John, we're a small community, and I think it's interesting, good information to know where the money is being spent.
I agree, but it's public, it's here, it'll be posted, sent around, you can read it, we can look at it. I'm just trying to streamline the meeting a little bit, just a teeny
I
bit.
agree if it's posted, but right now it isn't.
Can be.
Well, if we say it tonight, read it tonight, it's on the internet, they get it right away.
Correct, if
Correct,
you read it.
if we read it, so I agree with you, we should probably stick with reading it.
Well, that's up to the council. I mean, if we want to make a motion and vote on it, we can get to that level, but I mean, I'm just trying to streamline things here a bit, without knowing that, going through everything in detail.
Okay, then, I would make a suggestion as follows. When I worked as a treasurer of a It was a United States-wide, foundation. And what we did is we listed only expenses that were larger than $500. Everything else went into a bucket that was, literally covered, we've got some checks here for $9.49, $24, $35. So these are not really necessary, but every time there was an expense that was over $500, that had to be listed because those were big sums of money.
Perfect.
So perhaps we can do as a board then, we speak about, address, and for instance, perhaps Joan, reads them out then or whatever, all expenses over that and everything under it would be posted, whether it's up in the window or you come to see Joan and you can see where all the smaller expenses were done. I don't know what the rest of you think.
Okay, when you want to post it, are we posting it from month to month?
Yes.
We're taking down 1 month and putting up another month?
Oh, I don't know.
And who's going to be doing that?
Now, if this were posted.
We all have copies of it, so who's going to be posting?
No, just a minute. If this was posted, if we had it up on a page that had all our financial things on the website, then they would be up all the time for anybody to look at. Then you don't have to worry about it. But I'm not sure about posting it on, I don't know the details on posting it like that. So it's public information, basically.
Yeah. All right, I like your plan, Dinah. That's fine. Read the ones, Joan, that are over $500, and then give the total, and the rest of them are on there for everybody to look at.
Since everyone on the council's got a copy, I would suggest a council member do it instead of me, and I'm honorable.
Okay. Anybody like to read these out for us, please?
Well, I'll do it since I brought it up. LaPorte County Treasurer, $2,375.13. The Volunteer Fire Department for Michiana Shores, $3,386.33. The Town of Long Beach for Police Protection, $4,597. Republic Services, Refuse, $3,667.20. The videoing service that's present here tonight, $500. Attorney Jeff Gunning. Legal work, $862.50, and to AIM, which is the old Indiana Association of Cities and Towns. It's our town membership and dues, $827. The grand total, including that and all the other smaller items, $16,561.65.
Thank you.
The only notation I have on that is the LaPorte County Treasurer. The amount for the treasurer was for the fall 2019 election.
Okay, thank you, Joan, for the report here. And could we go back now to the December 2019 payroll, Joan? Whenever you're ready.
Right now you can't because you only have a motion on the floor.
Oh, okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report? To approve it.
I'll move to approve.
All right, do I have someone seconding the approval of the expenses?
No second.
Okay, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Rich. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Now I get your autograph
Right.
on both pieces.
Up here at this top one?
No, that's mine.
That's yours, so I go,
Down below where it's got the
okay,
signatures
governing bodies,
for
very
the
good.
council.
Okay. Does everyone sign this one?
Everybody signs.
Everybody signs this, okay, very good. Thank you.
And since you're signing, you have to sign a minute since you're the president. Have another one.
Okay,
You do things in double,
good.
just like twins.
There we go, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sit back over.
Okay. Thank you, John. Here's the others.
Okay, thank you. On the payroll, which was December 31st, the town works on a budget. And these budget items have to go to cash flow for the financials. And that's what we'll be doing tonight, so that the payroll that has been done will come off of the checking account. And there's all kinds of items on here. I don't know what you want to read on this one. This is a total payroll, includes the net payroll, the employer liability for FICA and Medicare. It includes all the personnel on the town payroll, and it includes the employee and employer liability.
You probably have totals of each one of those topics.
The total is $23,467.31.
Okay, and you have totals of each one of those subheadings that you just read? Well, then maybe if all you do is tell us the subtotals of what it was.
The net entry was $10,448.37. That's the net wages. That's what the checks are based on. And we have, I can't do a breakdown for all the employees to give you a total of the gross total.
So could just repeat that number again. That was
$10,448.37.
Okay, so
that's
this is
the money that is coming out of, we transfer it over to the financial part, which is cash, so that it goes from our appropriations.
Okay.
Because we work from a budget. We don't
Yes.
work from a cash flow. And we have to balance every month from what's spent and what's in the bank.
Okay.
And we balance every month. Don't we, Brenda? We got it down to
Perfect.
science. But it's kind of confusing because we don't work like a business where you're putting expenses in your income and you come out with your net.
Okay.
So we need a
We work
motion to
with
approve
the
it.
appropriations and then,
Okay.
okay.
All right, so basically we just need a motion now to approve the payroll, you know, and all the associated fees that get paid with that. So
That's correct.
I need a motion?
Oh, I have copies if you want to see it, by
yes.
the way, guys.
Okay, that would be good.
Anybody that wants copies can see it. You do have 5 representatives now that cover the whole town. You don't have one individual section, or they don't.
Okay.
If you want to talk to any of them, they have
I
these
guess so. Here we
forms
go.
also. They have all the records. So you can ask them for it.
For the payroll. We need a motion. Okay. Michael Martinez moved. I need a second to approve the payroll.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to,
Signing list.
oops, oh, signing first,
Because
okay.
I'll never catch up with you later.
Okay. So am I the only one signing, or is everybody signing?
Everybody signs.
Everybody signs.
Whatever you get.
Okay. Any financial? Very good.
Anything financial, you
Okay.
have to sign.
Thank you.
That's our checks and balances. It's also part of internal control.
All right, while these are being signed, I'm going to interject once more because there was something else that I forgot to add that I thought would be very good. I wanted to ask the council members here whether there were any topics that they wanted to introduce in the agenda that were not added to the agenda. Is there anything that you felt was missing?
No, I think you did a good job of capturing everything,
Okay.
at least from my perspective.
Anyone else? Rich? Mike?
No.
Yeah, I just think when we get the new business, we can queue up some things that we don't have to cover tonight, but at least we have them on to get into next month or a subsequent month.
Okay, very good.
Madam
Okay.
President?
Yes, sir.
If I may also offer some information. Oftentimes, we make comparisons between Indiana and Illinois municipalities and operations, and there's actually vast differences. One of a distinctive element of law that exists in Illinois that does not exist in Indiana is that typically for the local government organizations, an Illinois entity must have an item on their agenda, or they have a parliamentary procedure that provides for that if it's going to be considered or enacted in any given meeting or at any given night. Indiana does not have that. So the board is free to add things to its agenda. Now, they may be limited by law if the matter requires the publication and advertising in advance of a public hearing associated with certain actions. But otherwise, the board, you can do it at the beginning of the meeting, you can do it as it comes up, you can do it at the end under new business, or even under council remarks. But Indiana local units are not hamstrung to the same extent that Illinois is. And I know a lot of people work in Illinois or came from Illinois, and so that's a common misconception that I continue to experience in local government.
Great. Thank you very much, for explaining that part. Okay, let's move on to the next part of our meeting here. And it says the designation of a council member to sign timesheets for the road crew, grant administrator, and building commissioner, or any new employees hired, I guess, for whatever kind of positions we may have. So, Joan, can you elucidate?
I'd like to make a suggestion that you tabled doing the annual appointments.
Yes.
My suggestion is whoever is going to be the liaison to the building commissioner and whatever, because there's a liaison that's for each one of these.
Okay.
And it's usually a council member. So if someone works with the, I put road crew for a better term, but that would be like with the road commissioner, grant administrator, and the building commissioner right now. I am responsible for Brenda. That's the only one I'm responsible for.
Okay.
But I think somebody needs to sign these sheets. We've been lax in the past, but we need those hourly sheets signed by each supervisor.
Okay, so
and since we're not constructed like a regular entity, business entity, and so it would have to come from the council.
Okay, thank you. So then, the way I understand it, perhaps we should assign these council members or determine amongst ourselves when we do the actual appointments next month then. At the same time we do reappointments or appointments for all the other positions.
So if someone say, you're going to be appointed to the road crew or the that section of the budget.
All right,
then you're responsible. Make sure when they sign their time sheet, those you're saying those hours are appropriate.
Okay. Do you want to make those appointments today for these things, or shall we hold off then until next month? The suggestion is to hold off until next month when we do the actual assignments. Okay? All right, thank you. So we table this until, just as we tabled the other assignment there. Okay. Okay, schedule of meeting dates. Joan, I think you were speaking that these are posted.
No, they're not.
No, oh, they're not posted.
They're not posted yet because I don't have. There is one that is scheduled for, I believe it was the Plan Commission for November 3rd, which is a election day.
Okay.
Do we want to keep that?
I would say probably not, since that's a general national election. Probably would not be a good idea to have it then. Just push it a week or.
No, you push it a week. That's the
town meeting.
Push it 2 weeks.
Well, it's because it's a meeting for the Plan Commission. We need to check dates with the fire department.
And they usually have the Plan Commission before the Town Council because we're an advisory plan commission and the council approves.
Right.
Approves
Right.
or disapproves what the advisory.
Well, then perhaps, but we don't have anyone from the fire department to ask tonight. I don't see, well, yeah, we do have, chief.
What was the question?
Can you, do you have access to a calendar to see if perhaps maybe we can move it to the Monday night before instead of
Which would
doing
be
it
the-
Tuesday,
which
the
would
third
be
doing
the-
it the 2nd,
Would be the.
November 2nd. Do you have access to the firehouse's calendar?
All the way to November?
Yeah, okay.
I think, we can post the date, just put a TBD on that one, if that's the only one.
That sounds fine.
It's better if we have it listed because people that are planning things, especially with the plan commission, because all the permits go through, all the major
Yeah,
permits go through the plan commission, so it
But then-
probably should be.
But we need to get into the fire department, to the fire chief then to get
We
the,
can do that. If you
Okay.
want it on November 2nd, I can check with the fire.
how,
Okay,
Can I
perfect.
say something?
Yes.
I work for the elections, and we're out long before 7.
This is a general.
It's a general election, it's a national election.
It's
A
gonna
lot
be
of
an
people are gonna want to
emotional.
Track that election.
no, they're
and
saying
not
it to be
a
very
plan.
emotional.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, a very emotional election.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we are.
Either they'll be
Yeah.
celebrating or they won't be celebrating. Either they'll be celebrating
Or
or
not.
they'll be crying in their
Okay.
beer.
All right, so then we will make that determination and let we can say, we'll ask, how many, there's 3 of you here already for the plan commission for November. Would you do it on the November 2nd, Monday?
Yeah, that's fine. Joan, thanks
You
for
okay
doing
with
that,
that?
Joan. That'd be great. And
Okay.
if it's something pops up different than that, we can change it
Okay,
later.
is that okay with you, Ralph and Ray?
And I'll get these.
November
And
2nd,
Ray,
Monday instead of November 3rd, Tuesday? Okay.
I'll get these posted, Ray, and give you a copy of them.
Madam President, for the
Yes.
record, could we have a vote to approve the designated dates
Okay,
here on that list?
I'll move to approve the dates as designated with the one change.
okay, second? Okay, Michael? Mike and Michael?
Vote,
These are plan commission dates, okay?
right.
Okay. Everybody's vote for approval?
No, it
Oh.
should be all of them that's on the list. What
For every
we've done,
organization? Okay,
Since the powers to be that are on these commissions did not accept you, gave me the meeting dates. The town council is the second Tuesday of every month, so we put all dates for the second Tuesday. Plan commission is the first Tuesday, so we put those dates on there. And the question we had was on November 2nd. And the park board is always the 4th Monday, and we put that on there. Board of Zoning Appeals has normally met, 4 times a year, 3 times a year. February,
Four times,
for May, August, and November.
3rd Thursday.
And that's the 3rd Thursday, and that's what we've put on here.
Okay,
So that's what you'll be voting on.
okay.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, next, we will move to reports. So first up, Chief Bob Slukowski. Please.
For the month of December, total dispatch calls was 119, there was 21 walk-ins, we drove 3,530 miles, total hours worked was 821, overtime hours was 3, part-time officers were 77 hours, reserves were 24 and a half. There's 3 traffic stops in Michiana Shores, 2 written warnings, 1 verbal warning, 1 suspicious vehicle, 1 courtesy service, and 1 ordinance violation was checked. Reports for the month, there was several cars gone through. This is happening around 3 o'clock in the morning. There was only one that required a report where they stole the snowboard out of his car. But besides going through the cars, they're going through mailboxes now.
Ooh.
Scattering mail all down the street. The officer was working that night, found all the mail, put it back in respective boxes. But you can't pick your mail up before you go into the night.
So-
Make sure your car's are locked.
And
They'll steal something if you get in your car and it's working. It's happening everywhere, it's not just here.
And you don't know what they take out of the mailbox either.
You don't know.
You don't know what they keep out of the mailbox. I try to keep all mine in the post office box. All my data that,
My neighbors lock their cars.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
I just had one question.
Yes, go ahead.
Bob, would it be possible, like as the guys are out, running their routes and going around, like over the next month or so, maybe just like keep a list of like street signage in town that is in need of repair, so we can. Some of the stop signs are like listing or falling over or bent or whatever. I mean, but it might be helpful if when you guys are.
If you want to get with me afterward, there's a whole bunch of new signs in the street department.
Okay.
We haven't got to yet.
All right, that'd be good then. Yeah.
And Rob will give us a report as the. Rob will give it as a.
Yeah, I just thought it was for the police guys going around, they can pick that up too.
Okay, next. Chief Bendix is not here. I guess it's you, Bob. Thank you. Thank you.
For the month of December, it was 152.23 hours spent during the month by your firefighter either on call for attention, training at home or away, meetings at home or away, public relations, or working on the additions. Meetings for the month: on the 4th, there was a building maintenance meeting. On the 11th, was a business meeting. The 18th was a training session. Calls for service for the month: on the 3rd, Birchmont, Michiana, Michigan, for medical call. On the 5th, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, on Portal of Wild Road, fire call. On the 9th, Greenwald Way, a medical call. On the 12th, Birchmont, medical call. 24th, Michiana Drive for medical call. Also on the 24th, Michiana Drive, again, same guy for a medical call. On the 25th at 8:37 Christmas morning, portable structure fire in Potawatomi or Beulah Beach, but it turned out to be just a chimney fire. Thank God. And on the 30th, Pontchartrain Drive for a medical call. So for the month, there was 2 first responder calls in Michiana Shores, 4 in Michiana, Michigan, 1 in fire call in Beulah Beach, and 1 mutual aid call. We had a kind of a unique year this year. The fire department ran a total of 113 calls for service in 2019. This is the most ever run by the department. We usually average around 70, maybe push to 100.
Big difference.
We were a little bit busier this year.
Thank you. Okay, building commissioner, Steve Thomas.
I really don't have anything this month. I've been
Okay.
out for my surgery for about the last 5 or 6 weeks. So.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you, did anything ever happen with regards to that permit at 3731? And any resolution on that?
Yes, they did get shut down for a while.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to go back and forth with the attorney about a fine, but
Okay.
at the moment they're back working, they came in and filled out a permit for that.
Okay.
Now it's just a matter of addressing the fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Parks and Rec.
We didn't meet, of course, but I have a bicycle in my garage. Did you mention it last month when I wasn't here?
No.
No.
Oh.
Well, it's been there. It was left in the park.
Oh, yeah.
For over a week and a half, I think, wasn't it?
Probably
Longer,
more.
Maybe 2 weeks. So Rich put it in my garage, and I don't know what to do with it because no one's been looking for a bag.
Right.
Right. It's a bag. I couldn't probably even reach the pedals.
Okay, found bike. Okay, so we can mention that on next door perhaps.
It's in the park.
Yeah,
It's
right.
Just laying on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
it's a nice bike, so it looks like a new one.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Okay, road commissioner, regarding the community crossing grant.
Grant's been finalized and all submitted. Waiting to receive more funds from them. Street department report for the month, and we were only out twice in December, which I guess is a good thing, but not if you're making money from snow, so. January ain't looking too hopeful either, so.
Take
Yeah.
the towns and.
Thank you, Bob. You have a question, John?
Yes, to the road commissioner. When can we get railroad crossing fixed up like the one at Palm Beach?
I'll have to call Michigan City for that.
Can you do that?
I don't know if it's the railroad that actually fills them holes or the city. I'll check into it.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, thank you, Jean. Thank you, Bob. Do you have a question? Oh, okay. All right. Plan Commission, Rich Young.
Well, normally we would have met last Tuesday, but because of the November election, we were going to lose, I think, 4 members, so we didn't even think we'd have a quorum. And our main, and the new Plan Commission's main task is going to be to take on this Dan Coffee thing. And we contacted him because he was planning to come to the meeting, still looking for a permit. Steve, has he been in touch with you?
Yeah, probably about 3 weeks ago. He had his engineer contact me because remember we told him we needed to get some engineer drawings on the footings. So I did speak with the engineer and he said he was going to take care of that, and that's the last I've heard.
Anyway, that'll be I don't know if Mr. Cunning's going to be there in the next meeting, but it's next Tuesday. We moved it so that the appointments could be made today, which were made. I was to bring up the open that I was taking care of. Open seat.
Okay. Thank you, Rich. Okay, so the meeting will be the 21st, Tuesday. Job Description Committee. Joan Lewis.
Job Description Committee, we had it scheduled for meeting January 21st at 3 p.m., but you also have a Planning Commission meeting on the same day. I don't know if anybody noticed that.
Excuse me, Joan, I had it in my calendar as the 20th.
The 20th?
Uh-huh, so it depends on you when you're available.
January 20th, I can...
That's a Monday.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I might be available in the afternoon. But I had the 21st, but we can do it the 20th.
Because we were doing it days that you were working here.
That's it.
So that would, on the 20th, because I found the dates.
Okay, let's do it for 20th then at 3 p.m.
Okay.
And what we need to complete is, before we, advertise for anybody, we need to know what their job duties are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And most people that apply want to know what their job duties are going to be, their hours, if there's special education required, equipment used, whatever. Are you going to hire someone for a secretary that can't type or work the computer efficiently, because takes you for hours if you don't know how to type or use a computer. And that's the same thing for any vacant jobs that we have. So that has to be done as soon as we can.
Okay, so...
To get that in place. And that will also help as far as doing the yearly evaluations, because evaluations will have to be done.
Okay, thank you. Good. Okay, well, thank you very much, Joan. So then we have members here from the Job Description Committee, which is something that we decided back for the new members. I'll just say that that started out in the Plan Commission, I think, together with Joan had made the suggestion that what we need to do is have...
it started with...
Oh, with the Town Council? Okay, I apologize then. That we need job descriptions and lists of duties for people who are doing things for the town. So we put together a committee, people volunteered to come and work on this. So for the members here who had joined that committee, are you still going to remain and work on that committee? Alex, you had volunteered?
No.
No more? Okay. All right. Ray, you're still on?
Yes.
He had to think about it, huh? Brenda? Yes? Okay. We know that Matt Bowen is on it. I was working on that committee. So if there's someone else who could join us on the committee, because we could use the extra hand, please let us know. And it's putting together job descriptions, interviewing perhaps the person, in a particular job that has been assigned. For instance, we were doing the road crew, we're doing secretarial work, we're doing various other tasks, all the jobs that the town has to have done.
All the jobs that we have within the town,
Yeah.
that's all we have to do.
A question, Ray?
A comment, it's jobs that are paid.
Yes, these are paid jobs.
Not,
Thank you.
not
Yes,
volunteer.
not volunteer jobs. These are paid jobs. Because this turns out, we found out from Joan that it was a requirement from the state that we should put these kind of things to document it better. So, and it will of course help, you know, for those that need evaluations at the end of the year and so forth, so. Any other volunteers, please? You don't want to say it out loud now, please stop by and let us know later, but we could, you know, definitely use some help. It's only going to work a very short period of time. We've already had a couple meetings and I don't foresee many more. You know, 1 or 2 more and they'll probably be done for the job description, so.
The main thing is organizing them.
So,
The job task.
Yes.
And that, because we took the job descriptions from what used to be, they called it the Dictionary of Occupational Titles by the federal government, and they've got a new name for it. It's occupation something else, and it'll give you 3 pages for one particular job and list everything on it. And what you have to do is go through those. You have to ask the person that's in that position what jobs they're doing, you know, and equipment they need, and the hours that they're working, and that sort of thing, and the education that they have. And then you compare the two. You might miss something just by the interviews. That's why we pulled these off they call it occupational title or something else, but it was originally the Dictionary of Occupational Titles.
okay, thank you, John.
Which was a little more abbreviated than this.
Okay, BZA report. BZA report, Ray?
Nothing.
The next BZA meeting is scheduled for February 20th, and as far as I know, there's no one on the agenda as of right now.
Okay.
You do have to have.
I said this
Jean?
Sorry.
I said they have to organize. They have to have a meeting to organize the first meeting.
Right.
I mean, who's going to be president?
But as a former president of BZA, my committee met only, except for the election, only if there was a request or there was an appeal to the Board of Zoning Appeals. I don't see any reason why you should be if you don't have an appeal.
Well, thank you very much, John, but, you know, we'll leave that for the BZA then to determine when they meet. Okay? And we'll leave it in their hands. Thank you. Okay. White Ditch.
I was unable to attend the LaPorte County Drainage Board meeting this afternoon, and Madam Chairperson attended in my place. So
Yes, so I'll take over and give the report. Michiana was only referred to, not Michiana, but the White Ditch was only referred to with regards to the most important thing was that I guess there are new fiber optic cables that are going to be laid in various areas that have to go under several ditches, and White Ditch happens to be one of them. So the big discussion that took place is to make sure that by the, you know, the drainage board was that to make sure that they put them deep enough that they don't get hooked by, you know, cleaning of ditches and so forth. So anyway, there's no choice on our part. It's just that, you know, that they are going to be doing this, but while they're doing it, they're going to be cleaning up some culverts, which is not a bad idea for us either. So should they clean any of our culverts? I don't know where they're going to be doing it, but it is going to go under parts of White Ditch by some company called BSB. So, or BSM, I'm sorry, BSM. So that was the big news. And then the other time it was mentioned is only with regards to when they were speaking about, you know, ditches having a lot of water and whatever it is, but there were no complaints, no problems, and our ditch is clear so far. And so there's nothing to worry about, you know, with our creek, our ditch. That's it. Okay, myself again, website, since I was doing website. I try to update it all the time for us. It is updated. You know, currently I have not listed our new members yet because, you know, we still didn't have the assignment of who was going to end up being president or vice president and so forth. So we will list everybody now onto the website, so you'll find it under the town council page. But otherwise, the announcement was put out there about, you know, meetings taking place, everybody coming, please volunteer, please join. Never feel that you are left out. I mean, and if you do approach somebody and you don't hear back, approach them again or approach somebody else in the town if there's something you want to do. Because I did hear that as when I was talking to people walking around, they said, well, I volunteered once, you know, and nobody wanted anything. I said, well, you know, people have short memories and forget, so remind us often. And because I think, you know, literally, please remind us often that you would like to participate in something. You know, and all those meetings are public, so come on in. So that's about it on my part right here. Oh, there was a little bit of an issue, yeah, again with emails. There was an email I sent to you that came back to me that said it couldn't go to you. So I'm going to be contacting them again tomorrow to make sure everything was okay. But John Marks had cleared that up from last time around. So that's it. Okay, so now, resolutions, Mr. Gunning.
Yes, the category is both resolutions and ordinances, and what we have listed is regulation of short-term rentals within the town boundaries. This has been an issue that's surfaced from time to time over many, many years, and has been subject to court decisions and state legislative action. As most of the council members know, much of the current authority of local entities that have zoning power has been pulled back and severely restricted and limited. It's my opinion that this is the state legislature's response really to an effective lobby effort by realtors and management companies and property owners who engage in Airbnb type of activities and short-term rentals. The Supreme Court of Indiana effectively allowed local governments to regulate those out of existence, but then the legislature stepped in and enacted limitations that will allow local units of government limited regulatory power over the operation of the short-term rentals. In the past town councils have not pursued this matter, and in this last election, I think this became an issue. One of the council members has actually done a fantastic job in putting together an actual ordinance to allow us to regulate short-term rentals, and I have asked the clerk treasurer to print out copies of that work. This is the work of Councilman Lancioni.
Thank you.
And we have not discussed this at any real length, and did have an exchange of emails to the extent of one, which he responded to by rewriting the ordinance draft that he had. And so that is what I passed out here presently. An ordinance of this importance and particularity that's prescribed to us both by case law and by the state statutes is one that I think would be best enforced if we also had specific purpose comments included in the comprehensive plan. And I think there's probably a smattering of comment in the existing comprehensive plan that could double as justification, but it's also my opinion it's not specific enough. And to have the most effective set of regulations, if that is the will of the council to do this, then we have to have, in my opinion, those purpose statements and intentions set forth in a specific section of the comprehensive plan. That is under the control, at least in the beginning stages. It does have to have approval both by the Planning Commission and the Town Council, but the Planning Commission begins the process and actually does that initial work. So I'm incredibly impressed with the work product of Councilman Lancioni. He provided background and a basis for the regulation that is in the form of the ordinance before you tonight. But because of the remarks that I just indicated, I would like to recommend that this town council approve this ordinance on first reading only. And the council is aware, the public may not be aware, some of you are, that under our organization of government, an ordinance can only be passed if it's approved by a majority vote on 2 readings. There's additionally a state law that says no ordinance can be enacted on the same evening of its first introduction unless there's both a 2/3 majority to approve it on the second reading, and there's a majority of the council members present who approve, a unanimous approval, to go forward with it on second reading. So I would like to ask that council approve this ordinance on first reading tonight. That gives us plenty of opportunity to tinker with it, to change it, to delete things, to add things if we can, and to make it legally as effective as we can. At the same time, I then would ask that after we vote on this on first reading, that we have a motion to send this to the Planning Commission with a recommendation that they provide a separate section and purpose statement in the comprehensive plan, so that they start that process. And both have similar rules. Some actions require advertising after final adoption. For example, an ordinance that has an exaction, a fee, a fine, or a penalty of a monetary amount, that has to be advertised before it becomes effective. So a lot of our ordinances will have standard language at the end, providing for a separate clause. It means that if any section or phrase or words in an ordinance are struck down by a court of law, the rest of it stays in effect. The other standard paragraphs that I try to include are a statement that an emergency exists for the adoption of the ordinance, and therefore it should take effect immediately after passage or otherwise as provided for by law. And that is a savings clause that means that if there's an advertising requirement, so an ordinance enactment that has a fee, a penalty, a fine, an exaction in it, that has to be advertised before it becomes effective. That's one of those state law things that would fit under that exception. Annexation ordinances have a superstructure of advertising and after-the-fact filings that have to be completed before it takes effect. But for tonight's purposes, I would recommend that we have a reading, even if it's an abbreviated reading of this draft, that it be approved on first reading only. And then we have a motion to direct the Planning Commission to take action for a comprehensive plan amendment. So with that,
I kind of disagree.
Sure.
I think this is a pretty important thing, and you take the first document.
Just a minute, Ralph, just a minute. Let's find out if Mr. Gunning is done with what he wanted to say, and then we'll bring it up for comments.
The public gets it after we do the second.
Well, they've been speaking about other things too.
I was going to say that all questions are to be directed through the chair. The council members get questions first. Typically, the councilmen will direct their questions through the chair to me, but then the citizen opportunity will come. So,
thank you.
You can.
Okay. Someone over here was beginning to speak. Yes, Michael.
Just for clarification, we do approve first reading and send it to the Planning Commission. That can be discussed, updated based on what the attorney said next the 20th, or when are we looking to get this updated and up and ready to go?
Well, the next Plan Commission meeting is taking place on the 21st, which is a week from today.
That's what I'm asking.
So,
That's when we're gonna- so I just
on the
wanna use
21st.
ground on it.
so that
So
would
the
be an
21st.
opportunity to get it started.
Perfect. Yeah.
But your new members are not going to be there because you didn't appoint any tonight.
What do you mean? We did, these are all new members?
Plan commission.
Plan
You're on the
commission.
Plan Commission.
Yeah,
Got all
that's who
seven
needs to be
Oh, okay.
appointed.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
and the others are
We'll
been
come
extended
back to
1
that.
month.
We do have
Yeah.
to vote for those members because the government member appointees are council appointees rather than executive appointees. The council appointees have to be approved then by a vote of the council to make their appointment fulfilled. The council members are already sworn under their oath of office, but the citizen members have to be sworn in,
Okay.
both on the Plan Commission, the BZA, our building commissioner needs to be sworn.
That's right, thank you. So we only did the Plan Commission. We did not fill the others. The others are just extended for a month. We tabled it for the other appointments.
The citizen member Plan Commission,
No, the citizen members have been appointed. We have people we filled today. We did not do a vote on them, but you said we need to vote, and they need to do
governmental members need to be voted upon. The citizen members are a executive appointee.
Okay, so they're
those
appointed.
can be appointed by, you will have to sign a letter or
Okay.
an oath document. And
That's
then they
fine.
have to be sworn in.
Okay,
for
can
the
they
Plan
be
Commission.
sworn in tonight? Because the appointment was made then already today, but can they be sworn in tonight?
It's not till the 21st.
It's the
It's
21st.
next week, so, yeah.
Yeah, I would prefer that we do that at the start of the Plan Commission.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Take care of that.
So we should put a motion in right now to approve the council members of the Plan Commission, since we didn't do that.
If the chairman allows you to do that.
Okay, so
that's
shall
out of
we,
order. I was
now,
gonna-
should we, we're out of order, let's finish up discussing this and let's come back to that, okay, please?
All right.
All right, so we're talking now about the first reading and then sending this to the Plan Commission to take action, you know, after this first reading of this proposal. So, we need it read. Any other questions, Michael? You had something else?
Good. Thank
No,
you.
that was it? Any other question here?
I have a question.
Yes, Rich.
Not a question, a statement. This ordinance specifically is going to require somebody in this town to be very observant and enforcing this stuff. And I have been harping for years about how we need an enforcement officer in this town. We don't have one.
That's a very good point.
There is somebody, actually a former chief of the fire department that expressed an interest in taking that job.
We will have to have a job description. You want to be on the
That's your
committee?
committee.
You want to be on the committee to do the job description for it? And then it has to be approved.
Okay.
But the age-old problem we've had in this town all the years that I've been on it, and I'm sure before, is we don't enforce many of our own laws.
Okay. Well, Rich, that's a valid point, and thank you very much for it, and it's something that we will need to correct then. And your suggestion about this enforcement officer, and even a suggestion of somebody to use, is great. And then we will, and that's something that we will need to address as we go on now. Because whatever we didn't do in the past, we can correct now. So, any other questions with regards to this reading of this thing for the first time, of the ordinance? Mr. Gunning, who is going to, do you want someone to read it, or are you going to do a short, just titles, or what are you going to do?
I would offer to do an abbreviated reading if the councilman, since you're the
Well, I wrote it. I'll kind of go through it real quick.
Okay.
You're okay with that?
Read through
All
it.
right.
Excellent. Thank you.
And, all right, so the ordinance as written, and just to give a little preface on that, the state of Indiana passed a law that went into effect July 1st of 2018. It was House Bill 1035, so it became House Enrolled Act 1035, which then was all transferred over into Indiana Code 36-1-24. So everything in the ordinance is in alignment with IC 36124. There's nothing deviating out of 36124. Everybody's welcome to go read it. I encourage you all to do it. It's about 4 pages worth of Indiana code, but it's readily available online. It's all there. So the ordinance as written, and again, the state provides the opportunity for us to do this. It's an ordinance of the Common Council of the Town of Michiana Shores, Indiana, adding a new ordinance titled Short-Term Rental Permit Safety and Security Program. So the statement of purpose and intent, and I'll read these in entirety, and then when we get down in some jargon, I'll kind of summarize it a little bit. The short-term rental, STR, so I'll use STR here going forward, Safety and Security Program is established to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of all Michiana Shores residents and guests by ensuring STRs are safe for guests, are of a proper size relative to the number of overnight guests, that all guests are aware of the applicable Michiana Shores ordinances relative to parking, quiet hours, fireworks, and public safety. The Town of Michiana Shores, acting within all guidelines of IC 361-24, will require zoning variance approval by the Board of Zoning Appeals per defined town process to obtain a permit for all short-term rentals of secondary residences. So if you're desiring to as a secondary owner, so the state defines primary owner, secondary owner. So secondary owner, if this is not your full-time legal residence where your census data is, where everything, your taxes are filed and everything, it's your secondary residence. So the state discriminates between primary and secondary. So just a little context. In addition, the state of Indiana, effective July 1st, 2019, requires all owners of short-term rentals to register with the state of Indiana as a merchant for the collection of taxes effective that date, July 1st, 19, and information on how to register can be found at the state's Department of Revenue office. The state of Indiana then, they passed HEA 1035 on July 1st, 2018. 1 year later, they went back and said, we want our taxes on all that. They defined every short-term rental as a merchant, which basically means every one of them are a business. They're a commercial enterprise. As such, they need to collect 7% sales tax for the state of Indiana. In addition, LaPorte County is one of the counties that has a 5% innkeeper's tax. So everybody that rents in our town has to pay 7% state tax remitted to the state of Indiana Department of Revenue. 5% innkeeper's tax goes to LaPorte County, so 12% total. You don't get to not pay the taxes. If you don't pay the taxes, you're not in compliance with the law for the state. So then, continuing in the ordinance. Now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of Michiana Shores as follows. Short-term rentals. Definitions. Short-term rental means the rental of any of the following property types for terms of less than 30 days at a time through a short-term rental platform or any other manner of contract for use. The terms includes detached accessory structures. Maybe somebody has like a garage in the back, they convert it into something, whatever. Even if that was their primary residence in the house, it's still a secondary if it's in an accessory structure, in fact. Including a guest house or other living quarters that are intended for human habitation. If the entire property is designated for a single-family residential use, the term does not include property that is used for any non-residential use. Short-term rental of an accessory structure on a lot where the owner maintains the primary residence must comply with this section. So, and we have A through D. For the sake of our discussion here, we're zoned all R1. It's all single-family residential. Single-family legally is defined as one family, not multiple families or different, transient families. So the use standard. A short-term rental of an owner-occupied primary residence is a permitted residential use without requiring a zoning variance or permit. So the state, if it's your primary residence, your legal residence, where you file your taxes, where you do your census work and everything, it's your primary residence, and you leave for a couple of weeks to go to a Notre Dame football game, that doesn't count. You don't have to, that doesn't apply. But what it does apply, Part B, for short-term rental properties that are not owner-occupied and are a secondary residence and or not a full-time residence, an approved zoning variance is required. C, short-term rentals shall be operated in accordance with Indiana state law. D, short-term rental property owners that are not primary residences as defined by the state of Indiana, must register with the state as a merchant to collect the taxes. The town of Michiana Shores cannot approve any zoning variance or authorize any permit until proof of state filing is supplied in accordance with state law. Part B, permit application and approval process. So this will define just the flow. You get a zoning variance through our normal channel. If you have the zoning variance, next you have to get a permit. Here's what is in the ordinance that would be required. First, and as I mentioned, you'd file with the state to be defined as a retail merchant. Part 2, apply for a zoning variance with Michiana Shores Zoning Board. The applicable Indiana codes are noted and have proof of taxpayer registration. 3, apply for a permit with Michiana Shores pursuant to IC Indiana Code 36-1-24-11. After a zoning variance has been approved, fill out the required data sheet for submittal to the town council for review and approval. Discussion at the next regularly scheduled meeting. Applications are available at the town clerk office during regular business hours or online, and we can plug in the web address for online access. Completed applications need to be filed with the town clerk during regular business hours. All permit applications must have the following completed in advance of filing. Failure to file complete information will result in delays. A, an inspection. As part of the application for a permit, a home safety inspection is required. A licensed LaPorte County home inspector or other Indiana licensed home inspector with business operations in adjacent counties must confirm the safety and integrity of the property proposed for short-term rental. All inspection costs and scheduling are handled directly by the property owner. Part 1, the purpose of the inspection report and inspection certificate issued to the owner or the property manager, if applicable, is to verify that the rental unit is safe and habitable for occupancy with respect to electrical systems, plumbing systems, water and sanitary systems, including hot water, heating and ventilation systems, bathroom, toilet facilities, doors, windows, stairways, hallways, functioning smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, lead hazards, indoor air quality, proper exits, and set total occupancy limit based on bullet B, which will be forthcoming. The completed and signed report will be submitted with the permit application. Part B, maximum occupancy. The home inspection will also verify the following that will be submitted with the executed permit application. Part 1, 2 persons per bedrooms. A bedroom is legally defined as a 4-walled area with a closet, and it would be in alignment with the LaPorte County property tax records of the property as posted on the LaPorte County Beacon website. 2, plus an additional 2 people per functioning toilet. 3, and a maximum occupancy limit of 10 people regardless of specifics. So again, state law dictates safety, sanitation, all these things are covered. We can't have homes that have 2 bedrooms that have 20 people, or 1 toilet with 20 people in there. Just can't have that. And that's what the state law sets reasonable parameters for. So then part 4, town council approval of the permit application. All complete applications will be reviewed and discussed for approval at a regularly scheduled town council meeting. Incomplete applications will be returned with details needed prior to resubmission. Approved applicants will be notified and be issued a 12-month short-term rental permit. The review criteria. 1, the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the permitted STR will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare. 2, the permitted STR will be designed, constructed, operated, and maintained to 1, not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted. 2, not substantially diminish and impair property value within the neighborhood. 3, be harmonious and appropriate in appearance with the existing or intended character of the immediate vicinity. And 4, not change the essential character of the area. Part 3, the establishment of the permitted STR will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the zoning district. 4, adequate public facilities and services such as highways, streets, police and fire protection, drainage, structures, refuse, etc., and basically infrastructure are all appropriate. And then 5, adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress designed to minimize traffic congestion and have vehicular approaches designed not to create interference with traffic or right-of-way. 6, the permitted STR will be harmonious with and in accordance with the objectives of the comprehensive plan. 7, the permitted STR will be in a zoning district where such use is permitted and that all other requirements of the zoning district and this ordinance and as may be applicable to such use will be met. 8, the listing of the permitted STR as a permitted use does not constitute an assurance or presumption that such permit will be approved. Rather, each permit shall be evaluated on an individual basis in relation to its compliance with the standards and conditions set forth herein to determine approval whether the approval of the permit is appropriate at the location in the manner proposed. Part 5, obtaining, maintaining a permit. All approved zoning variances for short-term rentals will require the purchase of a permit pursuant to Indiana Code 361-24-11. Data provided for the permit shall transfer and fully apply to the permit. The initial permit fee is $150, payable to the town of Michiana Shores. Annual renewals require no additional fee per state law. Part A, approved permit holders are required to follow all Indiana laws and update the town of Michiana Shores of all changes pursuant to a whole string of Indiana law code that will be in the ordinance, but it's all in 361-24. Part 6, permit revocation. Any issued permit is subject to revocation for repeated violations of the town of Michiana Shores Town Code and applicable ordinances. See specifically IC 36-1-24-10 and IC 36-1-24-14. Those are, it's all prescribed by state law. Everybody can go look at it. Everything I'm going to read here following is in accordance with that. If 3 or more citations issued from the town council, building commissioner, or town police chief are issued to an owner for a permitted short-term rental property within a calendar year, the issued permit for that permitted property is automatically revoked for a period of 1 year after the date of revocation. A violation related to illegal activity at the STR premises will result in automatic revocation, bypassing the 3 citation requirement. Citations include any violation of Town of Michiana Shores ordinances and also include the following applicable to all short-term rental guests. 1, no rentals to any group under the age of 21 without someone older than 21 as the responsible party. 2, no parking of recreational vehicles or any sort by the short-term renter and no use of recreational vehicle for additional occupancy on the dwelling lot. It's happened, believe me. 3, no outdoor sleeping. 4, no use of tents, removable structures, hammocks, or other outdoor sleeping device to increase site occupancy. 5, no loose dogs and no more than 2 dogs per property. 6, no outdoor restroom, toilet facilities to augment dwelling capacity. You cannot have portalettes and Johnny Johns in someone's yard, but without an ordinance, it could happen. 7, no parties or events at the property involving more people than allowed by the noted maximum occupancy, which is 10 or less, depending upon bedrooms and bathrooms. 8, no loose garbage or debris. All refuse must be in the proper pickup receptacles. 9, no parking in yards, grass, or non-designated parking area. 10, no use of fireworks whatsoever. Guests don't get the privileges that residents have relative to doing fireworks during their stays. 11, no storage of bikes, wagons, beach toys, watercraft, boats, jet skis, etc., trailers, coolers, or any loose items in front of the house or obstructing the view of any property owners. 12, no use of illegal drugs or substances. 13, no prostitution. 14, no yard sales or vending of any manner on the property by the short-term renter. 15, no parking or storage of any commercial vehicle or equipment by the short-term renter. 16, no Short-term rental guests must be mindful of the neighborhood character and not trespass or disrupt other properties if requested to adjust their behavior by other property owners. 17. Required hours commence at 10 p.m. Central Time, Sunday through Thursday, and 12 p.m. Central Time, Friday and Saturday. 18. Notice of citations will be sent to the property owner. If 3 citations are issued, the short-term rental permit is revoked for 12 months. And again, permits will be automatically revoked for illegal activity at the property. 19. Residents wishing to report any violation of the above conditions can call the police to file a report and/or have an officer sent to the property. File a detailed report with the town council, including dates, pictures, and details of the violation. These will be reviewed monthly or in a special session with proper notice if serious issues are noted. Part B, any approved permit will be revoked for any property not in good standing relative to payment of the required sales and use tax pursuant to the applicable codes. Part C, a hearing will be established pursuant to IC 36124-15 for any permit that's revoked, but until final disposition, the short-term rental cannot be rented. Hearings will take place during regularly scheduled town council meetings. D, an owner may apply for a permit for a short-term rental for which a previous permit of the owner was revoked. However, a new permit may not be issued until the outstanding fines are paid. E, no person shall maintain or allow occupancy of a short-term rental in town without compliance with the provisions of this article. Failure to comply with the provisions is a violation of this article. F, the provisions in this article should not be construed to prevent the enforcement of other ordinances or regulations which prescribe stricter standards than are being provided. Lastly, Part 7, penalties and fines. Engaging in short-term renting of a non-primary residence without a permit approval in place beforehand is a direct violation of Town of Michiana Shores ordinances and Indiana state law. And Part A, an owner that rents a short-term rental without obtaining a valid permit is committing a Class C infraction of Indiana law, IC 361-248-18. B, each short-term rental transaction that the short-term rental owner completes without a permit constitutes a separate violation of this section. That's the IC Indiana code I just read. The fine for renting without a valid permit is $500 per occurrence as defined by state law. Fines will be paid to the Town of Michiana Shores. Any owner found to not be registered to report sales and use tax will be reported to those agencies for the state of Indiana Department of Revenue to deal with. And that concludes the ordinance, which thank you for your patience in getting through that. But again, as Jeff alluded to, it's all within the confines of IC 3621-24.
Thank you, Mike.
Bob?
Okay. Just a minute, Bob. Just hold on a minute. We're going to do council comments, and then we'll take everybody else's. So, any comments from those on the council who are listening to this?
No.
Rich, how about you? No questions now, Pam? No. Okay, I don't have any questions right now. So let's start out. Ralph had requested first, and after that it'll be Bob, and then we'll keep going. Okay? So, okay, Ralph.
That sounds reasonable, but there's a lot there, and it sounds like and I don't understand how things work, but moving to approve this to throw it to the next group without everybody having a chance to have actually read it seems a little bit quick in the background that I come from. It's like, you guys haven't even read it yet, except for mine. And so how can you approve it to move to the next level without having, the opportunity to even comment amongst yourselves?
Ralph, I'd offer one response on that. I think we're trying to be really fair because there's a timing issue here. It's January. The rental season, if you're going to rent, starts Memorial Day, reasonably. Could be sooner, but we're defining a process where you're going to have to apply for a zoning variance, which might require that the BZA meets more frequently, at least here for a bit, than a quarter. Then it's going to have to get approved, assuming everything is thorough and included. Then if you're approved for the variance, you're going to have to get an inspection, and then you're going to have to get that signed off. Shouldn't take that long, but then you're going to have to come and fill out your permit application, and we have the application ready. It was all provided already. But the whole process might take 45, 60 days. It depends on how thorough someone is. The longer we wait, potentially we get right in the middle of the season for everybody this season. I mean, the state law is in effect. I mean, it went into effect July 1st of 18, and then the taxes went into effect July 1st of 19. So we're just trying to make sure everybody's in compliance across the board. So there is a little bit of a sense of urgency, but your point is well taken.
Yeah. Just a minute. Bob was going to get the next voice, and then you're okay. I've got you down. Bob, please.
The only thing there's the fireworks thing I've got an issue with because that's a state law. We can't really control that. The other thing is the fines. I've been dealing with rentals in Long Beach since 2012. The fines really need to get jacked up because they're paying, some of them are paying a couple $1,000s a week.
Right. But on the fines, Bob, the state, they've defined it as a Class C infraction, and there's a cap as to what you can charge for a Class C infraction.
Class C infraction is a state code. We would have a local ordinance.
Oh yeah, we could.
We could
have for that, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we could.
Because some of the fines in Long Beach are up to $7,500.
Right.
For like your second and third violation. So I'm just suggesting.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You look at that a little bit because that's the price of doing business for $500.
Yeah. Good point.
Thank you. That's real good. Okay, Jen, you had something?
I just had some questions about the numbers 6 through 18. Is that part of Indiana law, the number of dogs, the idea of having a beach flip-flops in front of the property?
No,
is that something you added in?
Well, if you look at IC 361-24-10, in section 10, it provides that the unit, the town, can protect the public health and safety related to fire and building safety, sanitation, transportation, traffic control, pollution control. In addition, that we can look at it relative to noise, protection of welfare, property maintenance, and nuisance issues. And then finally, in Part 3, it says it can limit or prohibit relative to sex offenders, to operate a structured sober living home, to manufacture, exhibit, distribute, or sell illegal drugs, liquor, pornography, or obscenities, and to operate an adult entertainment establishment. So it does define some of those things, but the balance are from other ordinances that other towns have enacted that are similar in nature. I don't know that anybody would take issue with any of those things, but maybe.
Does that help? Explain.
So I would actually like, I don't know if like townspeople have the opportunity. It feels like this is going forward no matter what anybody says, regardless of having, difference of opinions or maybe wondering why 2 dogs versus 3 dogs versus 1 dog, right? It's minute, but it's something. I mean, it's an infringement on, what I think or a difference of opinion. So I'm wondering if this is just going to go through, then where is the opportunity for people who, and I apologize, maybe I'm in the minority here, but I happen to be a secondary homeowner, and I think that there might be a lot of other people who could be in my position that might be interested in being a part of this conversation, but it feels like this conversation is a done deal. And it's a done deal because I understand, Mike, you're right. If the town wants to go forward with everything, it has to be set up within a month. But the fact of the matter is, Indiana law says one thing, and Michiana as a town is enacting another. Similar with the law, but it doesn't have to enact it so quickly. It has, Michiana Shores has time to create a really comprehensive way for rentals, right? The state law talks about the taxes, or am I completely wrong?
Well, thanks for those comments. We were not going to answer all of the answers, things like now. We're thanking you for your comments. Now, any other comments? There were other hands?
What if a dog is a litter?
Yeah,
right. Okay, thank you for the comment. Good question. Yes.
Madam President,
Jeff.
I'd like to make the observation. It may sound like this is going through rather quickly and immediately, but that's a misconception. The process that I gently touched on, or probably mentioned and didn't expound upon, is that an ordinance to become law requires 2 affirmative votes after 2 public readings. Okay? This approval tonight, if it happens, I don't know if it's going to happen, they have to have 3 affirmative votes to approve this first reading document. If they approve it, as far as I'm concerned, that's our working draft. This has not had any legal review by me. The contents on its face look remarkably good and remarkably sound, but that doesn't mean that it's going to pass legal review. We have a secondary feature that if we add public perspective, which is what the comprehensive plan is all about, that comes through the Plan Commission. So we may find that there's no will or desire to go forward with this. We may find that the final version looks drastically different, or maybe only slightly different from what we have here. So I hope that that allays the fears that this is, to use terminology that we all understand, is not being railroaded through. It can't possibly be railroaded through. And it will all be done with great transparency, because the Plan Commission meetings are open to the public, and this body cannot act unless it does so in a public meeting.
Any more comments? Yes, Ralph.
So is the document going to be posted so everybody in the community has access to it before the plan?
This first, I'm not sure. I would have to defer to our attorney.
Typically, the version that is approved tonight is available through the clerk treasurer's office. If there's some desire by the council, and if there's any room to post it, we may have to put up a bulletin board on this wall if the fire department would allow that for all these additional postings. But that would be.
I just bring it up because in some of the things that I've read recently, there are people that don't have easy access to come down here for the meetings or during the times that the office is open. So how would they easily get a copy of not only this potential ordinance, but any potential?
Telephone request, they've got internet request. If the internet site has a box that you can check so you can get the request right off the internet.
Okay.
And that would be turned over to any citizen that wants it.
Madam President?
Yes.
If I may also respond, for informational purposes, I'm not trying to start an argument or anything, but generally with our system of government, citizens have rights and they have concurrent obligations. You have a right to attend a public meeting and you have the right to be heard. That doesn't mean that you have the right to interrogate any particular council member. The chairperson of any meeting has an obligation to make sure that in the course of discussion that there are not personal attacks made on members of the audience or on the public officials, whether they be the elected ones or the administrative officials. And those types of courtesies are presumed because we're an advanced society. But by the same token, while the citizens and the officials all have rights, there's also obligations that go with that. And one of the obligations of a voter or a landowner or a citizen is to inform yourself. So my view is you all have the obligation to inform yourself and educate yourself. And, you know, if you have to take extra steps to accommodate the hours that the office is open, so be it. I would not urge, although the council could overrule this, but I would not recommend that we put an initial document of this type on the internet. Perhaps if it is refined and done so before the second reading, perhaps that might go on the internet. Chances are, because this is such an elaborate scheme of regulation new to the town, that after its enactment it would be posted on the internet. But in this early stage, I wouldn't be an advocate of that. I think that will only add confusion and create additional problems that I don't think we want to invite. But I get your point, because it's also hard work to schedule and and there are other people that are not as conscientious and thoughtful as you, evidenced by their absence tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Gunning. Okay. Any more comments or with regards to this particular topic? Because I will ask now for a vote on accepting this ordinance on first reading. Oh, that's okay. So I need a motion to accept.
I'll move to accept on first reading.
Ordinance number 2020-01.
Right.
Okay. A second, please.
Second.
Michael Martinez.
First reading only.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Yes, an aye. Okay, now I need a motion that this be sent to the Plan Commission for continued review, correct?
Not this measure, but that there be a review.
Oh, in the comprehensive plan, yes.
An amendment made to the
For the comprehensive plan.
On this subject and concept.
Okay. I need a motion?
So moved.
Okay. I need a second, please.
Michael, it's your turn.
Mike or Rich, who's going to say?
I'll
Ann?
second the motion to send it to the Plan Commission.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Rich, how did you vote? Aye. Thank you. Okay, all approve? Yes. 5 ayes.
Let's double back and approve the 3 council members on the Plan Commission.
Okay. That's fine. Let's see what else was under that. Okay. Okay, very good. So let's step back now. We're going back to one of the first points that we were looking at, the appointments for the Plan Commission vacancies. And just to refresh everybody's memories, the 3 council volunteers were Michael Martinez, Mike Lancioni, and Pam Doobie to join the Plan Commission as council members. So, and then we have Ray Dumbris and Ralph Fox, who have agreed and are being appointed then to the Plan Commission. Okay, so Mr. Gunning, do we need to vote then on this, a motion to accept all of this?
What is required by law, because the 3 governmental appointees are legislative appointees, that is a council appointment. So the council must have a vote. So there needs to be a motion to approve.
I'd make a motion to approve and to add Pam Doobie, Mike Lancioni, and Michael Martinez to the Plan Commission effective immediately.
Okay, who seconds that?
I'll second that.
Michael Martinez? Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now, for our 2 appointees from among the citizenry.
Because the town has a long history of bad records, or the absence of records that we are able to retrieve, and because the different appointments have different provisions for staggered terms. In most cases, the terms are set up to be 4-year terms. If there's a failure to fill, the state law recognizes that those appointees that existed can carry over as appointees and can still continue the function. In the instance where somebody, of course, moves out of town, or they have no intention of continuing to serve at the expiration of their term, then it becomes important.
Well, we do have 2, so
to.
We're ready to serve.
Well, if you have, for the planning commission, that's a little bit different from the other appointees, because the appointment creates some rights for the appointee. And I think it is the planning commission citizen members that can only be removed for some justification.
But we just need to swear them in, right? They need to get sworn in.
Well, you need a letter. We need some kind of a document, you said?
Or a
First?
They'll have to be sworn in before they assume the role of their office.
Well, why don't we swear them in tonight since they're both right here?
Just because I prefer to do that myself and prefer to have that done at the planning commission meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine.
If you're going to wait on the appointment, what we've done in the past is we've just had a council vote because historically we're not able to prove the breakdown of which appointees are council. And in the past, some were council and some were executive. Were president. So to cover ourselves, we've always had a vote of the council.
Okay, so we should vote to accept these two.
That's the election of the group. If the current balance of the membership of the planning commission are going to carry over, then we don't have to worry about that. If that's not your desire, then I would say have a vote.
Let's just have a vote to cover it.
Yes.
So
we're done. Okay.
I'll make a motion to continue service for Ray Dumbrus and to add Ralph Box to the planning commission.
Okay.
Effective immediately.
Mike Lancioni moves. Second.
I'll second.
Michael Martinez. Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Since the administration of the oath is an administrative function, I would prefer that it just occur at the start of the meeting.
All right, that's
the
fine.
next meeting. Okay, very good.
All right.
Plus we have to have paperwork for it.
Okay. We'll do.
Yeah, plow to the finish here now.
Okay.
But the action that you just took memorializes formally those two appointments of the citizen member in the meeting minutes, and now we have a record to
Of
go.
how many
If we want
years?
to argue over that, we can argue over that, but at least we have that.
Let's not. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to the next section. It's getting very late. Grants. Joan? Is there any news?
The only news on the grant is the one for the White Ditch Bank stabilization. That's to do the section between Oakdale and the southwest, or whatever you want to call it, edge of town. That is in the process of being written and the engineering is on it.
Okay.
The White Ditch Repairing Corridor Restoration, the final payment, or I shouldn't say payment, the final report will be going in tomorrow, and then we'll be receiving payment hopefully after that within about 35, 40 days.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, Joan. Town attorney's report. Do you have something?
I have a couple items. One not on the agenda. I noticed that on Monday there was a Times newspaper article with the headline announcing that in the Indiana General Assembly business, there is legislation that will be brought forward this week that is described as limiting beach access along the shore of Lake Michigan. And without belaboring the point, there was litigation over that issue, and it resulted in a case that actually went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court decision, Supreme Court, but they declined to take the case, so that meant that the state Supreme Court decision governed. They basically declared that along the lake shore in Indiana, there is a public use and public easement right. Owners of property who had in their property description, in their real estate deeds, language that led them to believe that they owned the property out into the lake, were disappointed, and they were actually party to the lawsuit Originally, the Gunderson family was in that situation, but later they sold their property, so they didn't have the same ownership right. But others assisted financially in the case, and I'm not sure if people joined in or not, but the issue remained as to whether or not they actually had ownership rights of this beach and the beachfront, or at what point in the lapping of the waves did they have ownership rights to keep someone from being perhaps ankle deep in water in back of their home. So the court decision basically said the state has control over that. There is therefore considered a public trust that's imposed that allows people to be in that part of the earth. And generally perceived as a walking easement. So they can enter at a public access point, and theoretically you can walk all the way to the Illinois state line and back to the Michigan state line. In theory, the lake levels sort of eliminate some of that question because of their high level. In the last legislative session, there were 3 different types of proposals entered. One said, we're just going to use the language of the state Supreme Court and confirm there's a walking easement there. Another set of versions said, no, the court said the state has control of that, and we're going to give that control to the Department of Natural Resources, probably resulting in every landowner or interest owner to go to the DNR and get permission to do anything. And the last is what this newspaper article seems to say. I haven't seen the legislation at all, and that is we're going to restore the land ownership belief that the property owners had. It would then effectively decrease public access. Given those 3 combinations, which made parts of the DNR control and parts of the public access may also be in this bill that's going to be considered this week. But I thought because of the past importance of this issue and Lake Michigan access generally to the Michiana Shores community town council, that this town council might want to voice an opinion and select from those 3 choices to either say we support a public easement, or we support the landowners' rights to extend their ownership interest into the waters, or to throw it back to the Department of Natural Resources for their administrative regulation. So if there's a will or a coalesce a opinion of 3 or more to express an opinion, that can be conveyed either to our local state senator and representative or to legislators in general.
It's a House bill right now, Jeff, and as I understand it, it doesn't have, it's got some leg, but not total traction. We'll know this week. I think, for the sake of time, probably see what happens this week. If it gets any further, passes out of the House, it's going to have to go to the Senate, and we'll make a statement then. But I would suggest, for time's sake,
leave this for next time.
Table it. Yeah.
Okay.
Good point.
I agree.
It's an onerous situation.
Thank you. You had said that was only one thing, but you had something else yet for us?
The other matters for the formal report, we only have the one item of litigation, which is the ordinance violation case. Many of the council members, the new council members were here, or the present council members were here at the last meeting to hear that the defendant, Mr. Uriga, had finally filed an answer, and in his answer he included one affirmative defense, but in the law, the titles in litigation of documents don't really matter, because The administrative defense was not one defense, it was several defenses, and it in fact included or contained counterclaims. And so those became affirmative claims against the town. Because of the nature of the claims and our insurance obligation, we're obligated to notify the insurance company for the town, which we had done. But I'm shocked to say that neither myself nor the treasurer has heard anything from the insurance company. As an initial matter, I asked for an enlargement of time to respond, and that was granted to, I think it's the 26th of the month. And because I was looking at the wrong calendar, and I wasn't looking at a 2020 calendar, but I guess last year's calendar, that falls on a Sunday. The trial rules will allow us to roll that over to the following Monday, since it's not the holiday, the Martin Luther King holiday. So that becomes the deadline. It's preferable if the insurance company is going to provide representation on any part of it. They may take all of that and say we'll defend the town, or they may only take a few items or maybe only one item and defend the town. They should really be on board at that time. So I wanted to inform you of that status. But what is on the agenda, what I talked about last time, is there's certain fundamentals of orientation or training that the new council should have, and I thought if we could have a workshop meeting coupled with an executive session meeting, that we should schedule that and do that as quickly as our schedules will allow. I of course don't know the availability of the newly constituted council for that purpose, but executive sessions are specifically detailed in the law, and there's I'll call it a menu of about 14 or 15 things every year or so. They add one more item of specific categories. And
hey, Jeff, just I hear you. I'm totally on board for the executive session. For the sake of time, though, I mean, we've had people here for 2 hours now. I think, Dinah, you set up the executive session. I think we're all on board
Yes.
to do that.
I will check with you on dates, and I'll check with you.
And we're all
Okay.
aware enough of it, so we just...
Well, the law requires that specifically be posted. There's a requirement for the posting notification, which is 48 hours in advance of the meeting.
Right.
And we can only discuss in the executive session specific content is authorized by the statute. So that does allow for litigation matters that exist.
Personnel matters.
That have been threatened by writing or our strategies in advance of filing litigation. Personnel matters as a general matter are not permitted under the
That would be the
executive
workshop.
session statute. It's very well defined and very specific. There are at least two executive session categories that deal with personnel. One is the job performance evaluation of individual employees.
Well,
the town attorney is a independent contractor, so that
Well,
doesn't qualify there.
So let's determine a date then, if we can do that right now and get it done so we don't have to discuss that further. So now, what is your best availability for the two of you being in Michiana Shores? What kind of days? I know that you work out of offices too.
I would suggest that we pick a couple of dates, and I'll look at my calendar. All of us, we can kind of triangulate, but we're going to spend 10 minutes kind of get a date.
Okay, fine. Then we'll do that, and we will make sure the notification is done, Mr. Gunning, with the 48 hours advance notice and so forth and publicly posting. So we'll make sure that that's done. Okay, so is there anything else on your report, or is that it?
I guess that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Joan, were there any communications sent to the town?
I have no communications, but I do have some things that the council might be interested in. As I alluded with my report of the clerk treasurer. We worked on the budget. I don't know if everybody has these. This is the budget form 1. It shows what we requested and what was approved, and that's what we
Okay.
worked by.
Okay, thank you.
And this is what was advertised, the full budget, the monies of the town.
Okay.
Each can have a copy of that.
Okay, here we go. Thank you very much.
Third, I do need employees withholding for state and federal taxes.
John, we need a couple more of each of them. They're stopping at me right now.
Yeah, I think I only have one of each.
Oh, wait a minute.
2, 3, 4, 5.
They're in the book.
Oh, they're in the book. Okay, so we don't need this.
Brochure
Okay.
for you so you can keep your
Okay,
records
so you
if
have both
wish.
of those in the book?
Yes, they're both
Okay,
in the
all right,
book.
fine.
Sorry.
Okay.
But we, Pam, we have one for Pam, Rich, all of you. If you want them, they have comprehensive plan, they have what I just passed out, alluded to, and then it also has what our code book is.
Okay, thank you.
So each
Excellent.
one of you have one of those, if you'll pick it up.
Okay,
I
thank you.
also need to have, in order to pay you, the state and federal government requires that you complete
You need
we
one?
need this for all employees. That's,
Okay, here we go. Even though you have mine on the other thing, you still need it in.
that's the state of Indiana.
Oh,
And then, oh, wait a minute, which one did I give you?
you gave us state of Indiana.
Okay, and there's W4.
That's what we got here, W4.
You got the W4 now?
You got a W-4 there?
Yeah.
State of Indiana? Yeah,
That's it.
state of Indiana. Okay,
Okay. And there's one from the federal government, which is also listed as a W4.
okay, so even though you have mine, for instance, from being the
I still
plan
need a
commission, you
new
still
one.
need a
I'm
new one.
starting everyone with a new,
Okay,
just like I'm
excellent.
starting
Okay.
a new,
Okay,
how should I
okay,
say,
very good.
the whole new membership.
Okay, thank you.
There's one. Okay.
Just pass it on the, that's 2.
We need 5.
Yes, okay, thank you. 3 and 4, here we go.
All of our
That's
employees
awesome.
will have to fill this
Okay,
out if they
excellent,
want to
okay.
get paid.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, and thank you for getting those things together for us. Is it okay if I go on?
Go ahead.
You're done? Okay. Any public comments out there that have not been made yet with regards? Sean?
Please leave this a meeting to less than 2 hours.
Well, we're trying to leave. Thank you, we will try, definitely.
Furthermore, I want to thank you again for this award, which I didn't expect, or you didn't deserve.
Oh, yes, you do. Thank you for your work,
Thank you very much.
for your time. Council comments. Any council members have any comments to make?
No.
Rich does. Rich?
Mr. Gunn,
Decided.
Yes.
I finally heard back from the guy from our refuge service.
Oh my God, we forgot that.
And he said the powers above him, according to him, they had approved us renewing 3 years in a row at no rate increase. They told him that they wanted at least 3%, which is their normal cost. I told him that I thought that meant then that we would have to open it up for bids. And he said he would approach him again, but I actually just heard from him yesterday. It would go from $11.46 per household, I think, per month, to $11.80. 3%. So if I don't hear back from him, then the council's going to have to open, have Joe send out the.
Yeah, we're virtually going to have to just issue the legal advertisements and initiate the bidding process. And probably have to then open the bids for first consideration at the next council meeting.
And then please, could you do that, Joan? Get those out?
Pardon?
Will Joan, will you be able to get those out
I don't
there?
know if I can get them out for the next council meeting. This is already the 14th of the month.
Right.
Okay.
We're doing W-2s, tax
Okay.
forms, tax reports, and we're closing out the year.
When is this current contract up?
March 1st.
March 1st?
March 31st.
31st.
But effectively for us, it's the first meeting
In March. Okay.
But because we have to do bidding, which requires the legal advertising in front of that, according to the state's schedule, which is the statutes, we have to announce in the legal ad what the date of the bid opening is.
Okay.
Which is usually the night of the council.
Is there a requirement on the number of bids, or if we only get one bid, is it good, or?
No. We try to get as many as we can.
Well, obviously, but if we only had one, let's just say we could accept that.
Throw that out and try again.
Or accept it.
Or accept it.
Right.
Okay.
And that, of course, would require us to go back to the current provider and say, will you give us another 2 months?
Okay. Any other comments? Thank you very much, Rich.
As you well know, probably a year ago now, we changed the way we elect people. But what we never covered is what happens if one of us resigns. Now, in a short answer, is for me, it would be the Republican LaPorte County to appoint somebody, or is there a new election?
No, both, all of the membership of the current council were elected with a political party designation, and therefore the state statutes would provide, with the exception of the clerk treasurer, there's special provisions for that, but even generally for the clerk treasurer, that if you should be unable to serve or you move or something awful were to happen, the political party would hold a caucus for the purposes of replacement.
So people in town would be asked to...
Not the people in town, the political party precinct committee people would have the vote.
But people in town would throw their hat in the ring if they wanted, or contact them.
Well, yeah, they otherwise it's purely a political party selection. So the party rules would govern notification and caucus procedure itself, and then the results would, by law, be certified to the county election board. The equivalent of a certificate of election would be issued. They would have to take their oath, and as we all know, then the oath by law has to be filed within 30 days of taking office. And there's no exception for that. So if the oath is not filed, then the person is presumed to have abandoned their office. That might trigger a political party to act.
Okay, any other comments from the council?
Madam President?
Yes.
Since the town attorney, and I apologize that I wasn't here for that early item on the agenda, but since the attorney is a contract position, did the council vote to...
We're extending by at least a month. We're extending, yes, we're extending everybody by 30 days.
Okay, did the council vote to do that?
I don't think that we did a formal vote.
No.
We did not, to do a formal vote to table and move that for the 30 days, all those positions, including the attorney. We did for
We
that?
did take a vote.
Yeah,
Just a minute.
The two Michaels did it.
Right,
And you-
to table is, what we did is we decided to table it, is what we said.
It says...
So would that be?
No, that's not what it you said. It said that he said he had to continue all of them for 1 month.
Okay, to continue all for 1 month. Thank you very much for clarifying.
No,
So as long as it's agreed that and it's understood that means the attorney contract is extended for
1 month, yes. Yes. Okay, so if that's it, then I adjourn this meeting.
Yeah.
Let's go home. Thank you all.